Distinguished participants, dear colleagues, good morning to you all. It is my sincere pleasure and privilege to join you today. I am honored that you have given me an opportunity to connect you all on the occasion of one day online national workshop on environmental sustainability. Let me thank Dr. Eddie Ingole, your president, Mr. Thakre, secretary of the Nanopasak Shikshan Prasarak Sanstha Manora, principal Dr. M.S.P, and Dr. Nafis Iqbal, organizing secretary, for inviting me to connect you and exchange the view with you on the importance of biodiversity and its conservation strategies in India in support of environmental sustainability in terms of conservation, awareness, and knowledge. In India, Government Biodiversity Board, working in all the states of India with in situ and ex situ conservation and protection of nature treasure that provides the shelter and protection for vulnerable population that would otherwise suffer the extinction. All the institutions are also an important part of the knowledge base of the species and the genetic diversity of the world, providing opportunity to build the taxonomic and species information that is shared across the region at all local level, district level, state level, national and the global level, etc. Let me share the word of action of the common goals and the task ahead, all of us in the coming year. In this pandemic situation, COVID-19 outbreak has become a worldwide crisis. Each and every person in the respective working profession is trying a level base to combat COVID-19. Whether the nature really reset itself, all the scientists has an opportunity to see the realistic thing about the state and also the challenges and opportunity it provides to us. This will definitely, we can come together, work together for further conserve and enhance the awareness and the knowledge on biodiversity after 2020. Dear colleagues, we stand here approaching the end of the year 2020, the year that all of us in the Biodiversity Committee began with the praise and call for the action. Vision 2020 year by our ex-president of the India, late Dr. Abdul Kalam. That is a super year for the nature. This year has proven how superpower. This is true, but it has completely unpredictable and beyond the imagination. Human health is ultimately the interconnected with the health of our planet and how we manage the life-sustaining resources that biodiversity and ecosystem provides. But human activities disturb both the structure and functioning of the ecosystem. Many of the underlying drivers of the biodiversity loss also amplify the disease risk. Large-scale deforestation, habitat conservation and fragmentation, agriculture and the livestock infestation, the unregulated trade in the species used as a food and the medicine, and the overwhelming species to think of the extinction and anthropogenic climate change. This interacting pressure continues to create the condition for potential new diseases to emerge and re-emerge and spread. The reducing biodiversity loss has long-term benefits for the human ecosystem and the animal health. The Secretariat of the Convention of the Biodiversity Secretaries of the Convention of the Biological Diversity has worked closely for many years with the World Health Organization and a wide range of the partners to promote the whole of the government, whole of the society integrated approaches that prioritize the long-term prevention. We will need the harshness, these positive forces to achieve the shared and the independent goals of the healthy society and the healthy planet. Dear colleagues, biodiversity is a variety and variability of the life on the earth. Biological diversity, as simply we abbreviated as the biodiversity. Simply means the diversity of the life. It refers the variety of the variability among the living organism and the ecological complexes in which they occur. As we know that the important hotspots of the world. There are the 10 hotspots. Now we can when we see that the Western Ghats and Sri Lanka, the Himalaya, Mediterranean basins, Indo-Burma, Horn of the Africa, Sundarban, Forest of the Australia, the Mesoamerica, all these particular hotspots all over the world. And it is dominating by the different particular the plant species as well as the animal species. If we're going to be concerned with the dominating the gymnosperm, then the angiosperm, bryophytes, pteridophytes, viruses, bacteria, algae, fungi, lichen, all these particular species you can when you see them in this diagrammatically how these gymnosperms are going to be dominating. Then later the angiosperm, the how many particular plant species are available all over the world. Now, if you're going to be concerned with the India, the out of this particular the 12 hotspots, the 4 biodiversity hotspots are going to be found in India: the Himalayas, the Western Ghats, the Indo-Burma region, the Sundar land, which includes the Nicobar group and the Iceland. The hotspots have the numerous endemic species. If you're going to see these particular the regions of the Himalayan region, the Western Ghats region, then the Indo-Burma region, and the which includes the Iceland also. And the India has become the world most biodiverse region. The India displays the significant biodiversity, one of the 17 megadiversity countries. It is home to 7.6 of the mammalian species, 12.6% of the avian species, 6.2% of the reptilian species, 4.4% of the amphibian species, 11.7% of the fishes, and the 6% of the all the flowering plant species. Now, if you're going to be say the importance of the biodiversity in India, the India with 2.4% of the earthland in area, it accounts the 7 to 8% of the bird recorded species. The home, that is 96,000 species of the animals, 47,000 species of the plant, and nearby half the world aquatic plants. The Indian management of the its natural resources is the crucial and the protecting the global diversity. If you're going to look the how this particular history of the biodiversity, this is a India has a tremendous biodiversity, which is when you see the genetic as well as the species level or the ecosystem level. It accounts the 7% of the world biodiversity on 2.5% of the Earth surface area. And among the amphibians found in India, the 62% are very unique to this particular country. Among the lizards, the 153 species recorded, 50% are endemic. Now, this particular biodiversity, if you're going to be look into the history, just for the students, I will going to see this particular term comes in the 1980 by the Norse and the McManus. That is simply terms that is a biological diversity. But after that, it has been abbreviated. It is shortened by the Walter Rosen in 1985 for the in the conference that is National Forum on the Biodiversity, which is held in the Washington in 1986, and becomes very popular with the International Convention on the Biological Diversity, which was adopted at the United Nations Conference on the Environment and the Development, that is a UNCD, which is the Rio Earth Summit, Rio de Janeiro in June 1992, and come into the force in the December 1993, and in which is rectified the 168 the countries. Now, if you're going to see the how this particular diversities in India, the biodiversity is typically measures of variation, whether it is a genetic level. If you're going to see how this particular one person is different from the another, if you look, they are not a similar one. When you're going to see the species level, all the species are the same, but having the genes are going to be a different one. Whether it is an ecological system, whether it is a desert system, whether if you're going to be rainfall system, whether it is a ocean system, whether it is a coastal region, if you're going to see the plants, whether it's from the algae, fungi, bryophyte, pteridophyte, angiosperm, gymnosperm, all these particular which results in the changes in the flora and fauna. This is the beauty of the nature, that is a biodiversity. What is the particular threats are there? The loss of biodiversity. There are 6 major threats of the biodiversity. The first one is the climate change. This climate change, as we are observing all over the world, in India also, we are facing the different particular seasons. And this climate change refer the long term, the irreversible change that occur in the earth climate. The increase in the temperature of the atmosphere has a major effect on the environment, such as the seasons, rising the sea level, the glacial, the retreats we are facing. The second particular threat, that is a habitat loss and the degradation. The habitat loss or the degradation caused by the natural event like the natural calamities, like the earthquake, the geological events or the anthropogenic activities like the deforestation. We are on cutting the trees. The man-made induced this particular climate change. This is which can going to be a loss of the habitat and the degradation. Also, with the social cause, there is a erection of the any particular the metro station from the any particular region, we are going cutting the trees. This going to be loss of the habit of the particular the flora as well as the fauna is going to be concerned. The third threat is the pollution. As we are aware of this particular pollution, this is a very alarming situation, whether it is a water pollution, air pollution, land pollution, all forms of the pollution appear to be a threat to the life forms on the earth. However, it plays a major threat to the biodiversity when it comes to the nutrient loading of the element nitrogen and the phosphorus. This particular uh, are the major threat to the loss of the biodiversity. Another important threat, that is invasive species. What is this particular invasive species? Is the exotic or unnatural species can be any kind of the organism that has been going to be introduced from the foreign habitat. This introduction can cause the major threat to the native species, as that becomes the subjected to the great competition for the resources, diseases, predation. When these particular species have successfully colonized in the area, they are already called the invasive one. As we are going seeing this particular in India, that is a Parthenium can be going captured all over the different states that comes from the other country, and that is going to be dominated in India. The ore exploitation, that what is the term ore exploitation? That refers the act of ore harvesting particular species, the natural resources at the rate faster than they can actually sustain themselves in the wild. As we are going seeing in the coastal region, the fishermen use the very small nets, and in that they are going capturing the very young particular fishes. What will be the threats for the next generation? Definitely, that will going to be vanish. That may be a species which will going to be captured, the rare one. This is the over exploitation. And the other potential threats like the epidemic, pandemic, the infectious diseases of the wildlife, such as the Ebola viruses, the pandemic corona, infectious particular bursal disease, the flu affect the wildlife as well as the biodiversity. This phenomenon does not only affect the wildlife but also the human health also. We are going seeing in the bird, they are going affected with the flu. And this particular the threats are the major threats for the loss of the biodiversity in India. Now, the situation is very alarming. The if you're going to see the how the species are going extinct from the world, the one species per day to one species per hour between 1970 to 2000. Now you can see how this particular situation becomes intensified. The 33% to 50% of all the species between 97 to 2000. Then millions of species or more than the end of this particular situation. Then about the 20% of all the species to the 50% of the species by the year of 20th century, by the beginning of the next century, the several hundred to thousand species in just few decades. If he is going to see that 25 to 30% of the all species or more than 5 lakhs to the several millions by the end of this particular century, all the tropical forest will be going to be disappear. Half of their species will be going to be become the extinct. This becomes the 33% or more species in the 21st century. This is a very alarming situation. That is a 15% of the plant species or 2% of the all plant families by the end of this particular situation. This is a situation is very alarming. Now, what should be the strategies to conserve this particular biological diversity? As this in India, the Biological Diversity Act come into the force in 2002 as an act of the Parliament of the India for the preservation of the biological diversity in India and provides the mechanism for equitable sharing of benefits arising out of the use of the traditional biological resources and the knowledge. The loss of biodiversity and the extinction of the species in India are alarming. And because of the intense population pressure and ill-conceived development activities, more species are becoming endangered and are at the risk of the become the extinct one. Now, if you're going to be see the problems and benefits of the biodiversity are many. The focus and the need of the sustainable developments are adequate. The use of nature resource. India is still blessed with the vast area of the rich wildland and the unique natural habitats, has opportunity to stimulate the scientists, the conservationists, the general public, and participate in the program of the research and effective biodiversity conservation management. The loss of biodiversity and biodiversity conservation are the concept that provide the basis for biodiversity management. As our vision should be very clear for another 100 years, that we have to give the next generation hand. We have to achieve the sustainable goal of the vision document of the Biodiversity Act in India beyond 2050. Whether the shape of the plan it is clear, lucid, that meet the national commitment, need to be more ambitious, work together hand in hand for the better development and enhancement for Mother Earth will definitely achieve the sustainable development goals. Thank you for listening. Thank you.